This is James Brown with Glasgow News 1 and WCOU Radio. I am here with Barren County Sheriff's candidate Freddie Joe Wilkerson. Freddie Joe, thank you for joining us to talk about your candidacy for the Sheriff's office here in Barren County this year.
Well, thanks for allowing me to talk about it.
Yes, sir. I'm going to start out. This is kind of what I might call a softball question. How about that?
Perfect.
All right. What is the primary role of the Sheriff's office within county government?
Within county government. Well, you know, there's a lot of different roles, but if you're going to keep me in the county government, you know, we first of all we have to be present in all court meetings, fiscal court meetings, and we work primarily. The sheriff works primarily out in the communities. More now, we'll have a budget. I'll be responsible for that budget. I attend the meetings, and I give a brief. You know, but you know, I really want to give a more accurate brief. Here's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Folks don't need to know how many calls we have. Folks need to know how many cases we're working actively.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because it sounds like if you get a bunch of calls that you're doing a bunch of work. And that could be true. Mm-hmm. But it also could mean that, you know, you're getting a bunch of calls and we're not doing maybe what we need to be doing, so to speak. So I would like to see, or I will, I'm going to talk about how many cases we're working and how many, and break it down. Because I think the physical court needs to know. You know, they're the tops in the county, so they kind of need to know where we're at out there. We're having our problems as far as, you know, whether it be sexual assault or property, you know, theft or whatever. They kind of need to be aware of that and focus on that. So and then you obviously get down to the budget. You know, I mean, I have a budget, or will have, and I'll have to manage that budget. In the numbers that I have, and if something is needed, then I would take that to the physical court.
So what, within the county government, doesn't the sheriff's office primarily serve as the tax collection manager?
One of the four duties.
Yeah, see, so that's why. I know everybody thinks about the law enforcement, but they probably
man.
forget that that's the actual original role of the sheriff within the county government, right?
Well, it depends on how far you go back, but yeah, I mean, I got it. There's four duties.
Yes.
Tax collecting, court security, election security,
right?
Or you know, just be on the election board. Sheriff's on the election committee, and then law enforcement.
Yeah.
But you're 100% right as far as, yes, I would be responsible for collecting the taxes and, you know, it being put into the county funds and dispersed to however the fiscal court disperses the tax money.
I think generally people only think of the sheriff's law enforcement role because it has become so prominent, but it's kind of an additional role to what the sheriff's office was originally created for constitutionally.
Yes, and I believe in the Constitution, and so I would like to see. You know, I think a little bit is the paradigm has been changed because there's been so much focus on law enforcement. People think that that's what the sheriff is supposed to be doing all the time, and that's not what it's designed to be.
Right.
And there's a lot of different roles, and the sheriff needs to be in a lot of different places. But out in the community is the biggest place because the community has to trust us. The community, you know, we have to work together. Mm-hmm. So you're exactly right on it's kind of been, I don't know if it's skewed or whatever you want to say, but that's just whatever you do and you continue to do it, then that becomes, I guess, maybe right in folks' eyes sometimes.
So what is, on the law enforcement side, what is the primary issue that you think the sheriff's office deals with as far as law enforcement routinely?
You know, that's a great question. I don't know if you can call it routinely, because whatever is the hottest topic or the hottest problem at the time is where we would need to shift. But I will tell you right now, I think we have an excessive speeding problem, and sexual assault is a problem. As a matter of fact, Barren County is third in sexual assaults in an 18-county region. That's a little scary. I mean, shouldn't be that.
Right.
So, but I just believe, whatever is the biggest threat to safety and security of citizens is where we need to focus. I think routinely, if you just stay a day, I think we're going to be patrolling. I'm a big believer in we need to be out, we need to be seen, and we need to work with different communities, because there's going to be, even down to the communities may have one problem and the other community may have a totally different problem. So, you can't kind of group it to one, or I don't think you can. It's whatever the needs, honestly, it's just whatever the needs of the citizen and whatever is the most for the county whole, whatever the problem is, county whole would be the thing we need to focus on.
You mentioned the patrols. That brings me to my next question, because Barren County has about 500 square miles, about 487, I think, is land. So that leaves about 20 square miles of water. But how do you think the sheriff's office should decide what areas to patrol routinely and what areas it might need to respond to?
Well, we're going to respond to any problem that's out there. Obviously, we'll prioritize them, and the major problems will be handled first. But I think a part of that patrolling is I want to involve the community. I think we need to go back to that, because the community can be a big help. We had a problem one time in the community that I live in, and we started a neighborhood watch program. Dan Blair from the Sheriff's Department and a trooper from the KSP come down, presented it to us, and we started it. And our problem ended. So I believe with those type programs out there, we can technically be in all communities at the same time with a relationship that we want to develop. And then I would like to see, and I haven't broken it down yet, but I would like to see a deputy that's kind of like in charge or oversees each little. I'm thinking about maybe district, because there's 7 districts, but now a couple of them are in the city, so we may have to shift that. But that person is the go-to person for that community. Like I say, I have to get some input, more input, but that's what I envision, because I just had someone talk or text me today or whatever about, would I have an open door policy?
Yeah. And
I absolutely would. I want to be there for everybody. If you're concerned, I'm going to be there.
What work and or life experience do you have that make you a good candidate for this position?
Great question. I feel like that, like I say, I worked in recruiting for 13 years. And I'm out in the community, getting to know the communities, and I've done 13 years of that. We would go in the community as well. Like I had, when I was a master sergeant, I had everything west of I-65, and we would pick an area and we would go in and we would, just make sure that people knew who we were. So I want to do the very same thing. I want to go back to the communities, and I think, having that experience, being able to communicate, being able to listen, because that's a huge problem that nobody hears them. Now, when I say that, I'm not necessarily talking literally, but they feel like that anyway. You can feel like nobody cares.
Right.
I want to make sure no community feels like that the sheriff department is not there for them. I will tell you that that obviously sometimes is a bigger issue in minority type communities. But I believe, just like God says, all people are His people, and the Constitution says everybody's treated the same, and I believe that. So my experience working with the public, being able to listen, being able to develop teams, being able to balance the community and law enforcement. Okay, I think it'll solve a lot of our problems by having that connection. I think my opponent rather might be, I feel like will probably be more in line with law enforcement, and believe me, that's important. It's critical, but that's not necessarily where the sheriff needs to spend all his time. And so, my being out in working in the communities for 13 years is going to be a big benefit.
Right.
And I have a passion to help people. And I think you have to have that. To be a good sheriff, you need to be in the communities, and you have to care.
So you don't have a specific background in law enforcement?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not. And you know what? I think that's a good thing. I'm willing to go to whatever's training, whatever. But the first job is in the communities. That's the first job, And so if we're going to go back there and take care of business, because I think it'll take care of a lot of our problems, we need to kind of get out of that mindset that that's the sheriff's main duty is law enforcement, because obviously there's more. And so that's where I'm at. Now, the citizens that haven't been heard, that will call and can't get anybody to listen, they relate to that. Now, folks that don't know about that obviously are going to think, well, he's not going to be a good sheriff because he's not a law enforcement background. I'm going to be a better sheriff because I don't have it right now, and I can focus on the things that a sheriff really should be focusing on. And that's in the legislative handbook. I mean, matter of fact, it says right up front, a sheriff spends most of their time working on civil side. Civil. That's working with the communities and civil issues. Right.
That's all the questions I really have for you. But is there anything else that we didn't cover that you want people to know?
I would like to clarify something.
Okay.
Recently, we had a forum, and I may have said it wrong, and I want to clarify it, and that's concerning CPR.
Okay.
And the drug court. I'm a big believer in the drug court.
What is CPR?
Okay, CPR is the new program. Libby is running. It's behind Dairy Queen right now.
Yes, I know what you're talking about.
Community Partners Recovery.
Yes.
And it's a great program, and they do great work. And drug court does great work. As a matter of fact, I think they're one of the top drug courts in the state of Kentucky. What I was saying is they have issue with getting housing. It's a challenge.
Right.
It's more of a challenge than it should be. I understand because I have experience I used to be a landlord. And I understand that side of the house. And, I've employed people. And I understand that side of the house. And so, but it's a requirement for this person. And we need to get them, drug-free. We need to get them back into being a contributing citizen. Okay? But we can't. It's hard to find housing because most landlords are going to want a deposit, first month, and maybe even second month's rent up front, and those folks aren't able to do that. So we ought to have some type of program or some type of housing that would allow them to get housing without those obstacles, because
Okay.
they have to have it. It's a condition of the drug court.
Right.
And the same thing with working. You know, they're probably not going to have a pretty resume. They're probably not going to have the best scenarios sometimes. And then, and I know it's critical. Don't get me wrong. I know it's critical. But they are randomly called for drug tests.
Right.
And so if you're an employer and you have this big order that you've got to get out, and your person has to leave without notice because you're not going to get the notice until it's there.
Right.
You know, some folks aren't willing to deal with it. And I think we can relate to that. But I also think we have a responsibility as a people to know that's a problem, and we need to help them with that. And I think we can if we all work together. So, but I certainly want to see the drug court continuing. You know, they're talking about maybe losing some funding on that. I don't know if you've been following that.
Yeah.
But I want to see it. And as a matter of fact, I'll do everything I can as sheriff to keep it going. I want to work with the jailer. I want to work with Libby and her group. I want to work with drug court, because I think it's a great thing.
Yep.
But we have to stop that revolving door, and we got to get people back on their feet. And you know, they're fighting an addiction, which I've never had an addiction, so I can't relate to how bad it is. But from seeing it happen, it must be a terrible thing.
Yep.
They can overcome it. We've seen many great, people overcome it, but it's not easy. And we, as a community, if we're going to love one another, we have to be a part of that help. I mean, some way or another. And there's some good nonprofits out there that are, able to help. But what we have doesn't cover everything that we need.
Right.
Okay? So I think the community can do a lot more. I think, honestly, the state and lawmakers could do a lot more. You know, I run a nonprofit.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's called Farming.
Well, with that, Freddie Joe, I appreciate you joining us to talk about
Thanks,
your
James.
candidacy.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
I appreciate you.
Thank you to Freddie Joe Wilkerson for joining us to talk about his running for the Barren County Sheriff's Office. This is James Brown with Glasgow News 1 and WCOU.